Okay, February 29th, 1908, a famous lawman named Pat Garrett lost his life right out here in this field for being shot to death over an argument about land. Pat Garrett was most famous for shooting Billy the Kid, and he was a sheriff and he had worked for the Customs Department in El Paso. But apparently he was not well liked either as a person or as a sheriff and lawman. So the dispute started between a guy named Wayne Brazel and Pat Garrett over a field that they leased to raise some goats. So Brazel wanted to sublease the land to two other guys. I don't know what was going to happen with the goats, but Pat Garrett found out about it. He said subletting violates your lease, and he was going to take him to court and get the lease vacated. So this whole incident started about 6 miles in that direction, just outside the old city of Oregon, which today is largely abandoned. Pat Garrett and another guy who was also involved in the deal, which is a little weird, were on a wagon, and they met up with Brazel, who was on horseback. And supposedly they had a running argument for the 6 miles between there and here. When they got here, one of the guys on the wagon said he had to take a whiz. So Garrett decided he was going to too. They were taking a piss. The guy who lives said 2 shots rang out, which in those days would have been click, click, boom, click, click, boom. The guy turned around and there was Wayne Brazel sitting on a horse with a .45 in his hand. Pat Garrett was on the ground dead. So there's a lot of things that are really unusual about that story. One thing, what happened afterwards. Okay, so Wayne Brazel doesn't try to run, doesn't try to hide. He turns himself in Las Cruces, and he's put in jail. His boss raised $10,000 to bail him out, which in those days was a lot of money. So there was a trial. The prosecution was described as confused and inept. And Wayne Brazel was acquitted of murder. He claimed that Pat Garrett made some vague threat like, I'm going to get you off my land one way or the other, and reached for a shotgun that he had on the wagon with him, which was loaded with birdshot. When the sheriff came out to see what was going on, they found Garrett's body with 2 gunshot wounds. First one hit him in the head, passed out his left eye, and the second one was a body shot that exited between his ribs. First off, sitting on a horse 10, 15 feet away from somebody, making a one-handed headshot is just amazing. That was a hell of a shot with a 1900s .45 revolver, probably a peacemaker. The other thing that was odd was after Brazel was acquitted, his boss had a big party. So most people said it was to celebrate Brazel being acquitted, but there was also quite a bit of speculation that it was more of a celebration that Pat Garrett was dead. Again, not well liked, not a good businessman. He needed the money. He wanted to sell that land and not lease it. So they were on their way to court and winds up dead here. So we'll never know exactly what happened. But as far as the last look goes, I guess you could do worse.